Please give a welcome to our moderator, Mohamed Rahim, Senior Analyst, RHB Investment Bank. And the other two speakers are Mohammad Ridzuan Abdul Aziz, Independent Non-Executive Director, AEON Bank, Berhad. And our final speaker is Jovian Tan, CTO, Bitara.
All right, thank you. So I'm Adam, today's moderator from RHB Investment Bank. So today's title, the AI-powered bank, building a next-generation data foundation. So in simple terms, that's just talking about how can banks build the right engine room to power the future of finance. So as you all know, AI is developing very fast. Even we ourselves use ChatGPT on a daily basis. And looking at the banking context, AI can definitely help a lot in terms of enhancing the customer service experience and also identifying risk patterns. So for Malaysian banks, that also means finding the right balance between being innovative while staying compliant and managing cost while going green. So that's why today we have with us two esteemed gentlemen, Encik Ridzuan from AEON Bank and also Dr. Jovian, the CTO of Bitara. So, and I'll just to get the ball rolling. Maybe I'll throw the first question to Encik Ridzuan. So, how would you see AI reshaping the core of banking operations, and what does that mean for a bank's data infrastructure strategy?
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you, Adam, for that question. Thank you, Dr. Jovian, for being in this esteemed panel. So going forward, banking, as per how we have done it with AEON Digital Bank, So we are definitely not going to just focus on becoming like any of the existing bank that we have or we know for now. So you're asking about what are the fundamentals in terms of how AI going to shape how banks going to function going forward. What we have done in the digital bank that we have built for the last 3 years in AEON is we really make sure that there's no physical offering to all of our clients. That's one. And to be able to do that, we actually build a core that is 100% on cloud, and all the solutions are based on a containerized kind of a model. That means the microservices for loan, microservices for deposit, and any other categorization are so different from how a traditional bank is currently being built. So the way we design the architecture of the bank is really about getting it ready to do more than just asset and liability management. We are ready to do open banking, open finance, so that we can integrate and partner up with non-banking. We can do capital market product. We can even do many other non-banking value-added services, so that the bank can become a solution for your livelihood elevation going forward using digital platform. I'll stop there and we can discuss further after.
Right. Thank you, Encik Ridzuan. Okay, sorry, maybe before moving to Jovian, maybe could you, I know before we came here, you mentioned something about open finance. So maybe you could just explain a bit more as to how can this open finance concept maybe blend in with, AI, for example. Yeah.
Sure. So this is a terminology that is not something that is unfamiliar to those who are, who understood clearly what is Web 2, Web 3, blockchain and tokenization and all that. So what open finance and the vision that we have about open finance is we really want to bridge the traditional way of how financial services is being provided. And then we also want to make sure that the stakeholder centricity is not just for customers, it's for stakeholder. That means for shareholders, for regulator, for vendor, for our employees, and for all the parties that have interest in the banking industry of the future will be able to meaningfully come together on a single digital platform and contribute and enjoy the value of how open finance is going to be done. For example, if you actually are someone who bank with AEON Bank, you would be able to utilize the reward points not only in Malaysia but also in other places where AEON exists. And then you get insurance or takaful protection, capital market in terms of your wealth management strategy. And then this is where it can ties up with the product of the future where it's crypto based or maybe something that you can tokenize using a real world asset. So none of the bank in Malaysia is able to do that because the architecture that they have doesn't equip them to be able to offer open finance. But the digital bank in Malaysia that is currently operating, all of us are designed to be able to offer beyond the traditional asset and liability management services.
All right, thank you, Encik Ridzuan. So maybe the next point of discussion with Dr. Jovian, how would we ensure transparency or auditability in AI-driven decision making, especially in regulated industries such as banking, in your view? Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for the question from Mr. Adam and Mr. Ridzuan here. A very good afternoon to everyone. A little bit about Bitara. We are a software house building SaaS solution for SMEs, right? So I will do my best to give an input on the financial landscape. It's not my forte, but we talk about auditability, right? So I think in technology sense, it's all about traceability. Basically, from how AI come to an answer or to a decision, how do we trace back? You know, what makes the AI make these certain decisions, right? So traceability in terms of using technologies, banks will be able to do stuff like logs all their data sets, all their decision, all their change model, and be able to trace back to those information. So that's where we see the importance of auditability. So it's like financial audits, right? But it's more audits for algorithms. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Dr. Jovian. And to Encik Ridzuan, we understand that there are just maybe many banks that are burdened with legacy systems. So, in your view, what are some practical approaches that a bank could take to modernize data infrastructure without disrupting their ongoing operations? I mean, I understand that AEON Bank is, from what you said, there's like no physical offering, but perhaps you maybe might have some, view on that perspective.
Sure. AEON Bank is not my first bank that I joined. I was from a traditional bank before. So for a traditional bank to emulate and be ready going forward to be able to, for example, deploy agentic AI, for example, there's a lot of precondition that they need to have. First and foremost, they need to understand that before even they want to do AI at the basic level, they need to understand how to do a comprehensive, secure, and relevant data management framework. That's one. Second is they need to change their mindset because it's in the traditional bank, normally data is an afterthought. Okay, after a transaction happens, you collect the data and then you analyze, then only you will make use of the data. But under a digital setting, data is the driver. So you need to make sure that your data is verified, your data is reliable, relevant, and timely. So hence the reason where you want to use AI is not an afterthought, it's really about making it as part of your strategy. And this is very challenging because if you go to any traditional or incumbent bank, many of the board members are very old. They don't understand even the basic technology terminology, the deployment, the impact, the risk, let alone talk about agentic AI and how it actually can help. So your question about how do you want to make sure that there's no disruption, that's not possible. It has to disrupt, you need to manage it, and then you need to make sure that you are comfortable with the disruption that happened. You see, for an incumbent bank to deploy digitally and to deploy AI is like repairing an aeroplane that is flying. You can't land, you can't take out the engine, you can't take out the door, but you need to change a lot of things in the aeroplane. So it has to be, you got to land, you got to suffer for a few years, then only you can fly back with a different kind of preparation and capabilities. We are lucky in AEON because we didn't fly, we start from ground. Only when we are ready, then only we flew. That's where we fly a different path. So we are just like a private jet. We fly 45,000 feet, but the incumbent are flying at 30,000 feet because they are commercial. So we are different. So if you ask me, it's very challenging for incumbent bank to adopt or to even embed some of the AI solution in the current setting that they have.
All right, that's a great sharing from Encik Ridzuan. So to Dr. Jovian, given that Bitara is more focused on a software as a service, type of offering, right? So given that AI models, would be demanding in terms of your hardware and whatnot. So how, from your own experience, if you happen to have any, like from your clients that you come across, do you actually in a way try to while actually offering your SaaS or software as a service offering to them, is there like any maybe discussions by the clients, maybe they asked you how do they actually deploy your SaaS while not letting cost be inflated, while trying to embrace this type of digitalization or embracing AI?
I think if the question is more towards Bitara doing SaaS or offering SaaS solution for that, it's quite straightforward, right? So we offer SaaS. The reason customer wants to use SaaS is because of the flexibility to scale, right? They just need an internet and the mobile phones. They can connect, download the mobile apps and run the application, right? But for banking, if we put it on the banking lens, that's a bit different. I think what Mr. Ridzuan mentioned just now. They are already flying 350,000 feet above the air. So in order to change that, there requires a lot more heavy duty, development that goes with it, right? But it's possible. It's still not. It's like renovating a house, right? You don't tear the whole house down one go. You renovate it one room at a time. So it's still possible. But it needs a very structured framework in order to do it safely while still comply to the local, regulatory like BNM and SC guidelines. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And looking at, just now Encik Ridzuan was talking about open bank, open finance. How can AI maybe try to deepen the financial inclusion within the banking space? Like, any thoughts on that? Financial inclusion with AI.
Well, I think there's two levels. One is the level of what kind of digitalization that you want to deploy for you to focus on democratizing access, for example. So that is one of the key deliverables of inclusivity. Secondly is in terms of making it relevant to certain segment. Like normally people will talk about the micro SMEs for business banking, or even for B40, when you talk about people who are not having bank services, it's not on the deposit side, but it's more on the lending, on the loan side. So AI could create a very objective way in terms of how we do credit decisioning process. Okay, so the current way of, let's say for example, you look at personal financing process in a bank, they will always look at the CRIS report and then they compare it with the debt service ratio in terms of your obligation or whatever existing loan that you still have, and then they compare between these two, and if you are not actually within the acceptable ratio, you will not be given the loan. Okay, you can automate that, but with digitalization, particularly with AI, you can use non-financial data like the behavioral data. You can look at telco data. You can look at the consistency of how you pay your monthly telco bill, for example, as indication of what are the applicants' priority in terms of servicing any obligation, particularly financial obligation. So combining those and then using AI to help you to make a decision and processing that will give you a different picture in terms of credit worthiness as well as driving the new way in terms of how you do credit decisioning. So that's one example in terms of how you can use AI. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Ridzuan. So, okay, we have a few minutes left. So, for Dr. Jovian, right, given your experience in software as a service, what do you think could be the next form of AI-related disruption, from your own, business experience?
I think the next iteration for AI, right, it's gonna be a entity that is always self-learning and enhancing by itself continuously. So, say for example, the banks, every transaction, every interaction, every decision made will be feed into the constant loop of learning, right? So it's getting better and better as we speak, more personalized. The only thing that probably banking need to do is to make sure that their fairness and transparency are always being checked. They run bias check regularly, because banks will eventually be working in a much open, like what Mr. Ridzuan said, an open modular platform where they connect fintech and even decentralized finance together. Right, that would be the future.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Jovian. So maybe just one final question to Encik Ridzuan, just to wrap up today's session. So given that you have had your experiences as a regulator in Malaysia, if you could advise financial leaders in Malaysia, what is one step that they could take to future-proof their data foundation in the banking industry? Yeah.
I think one of the things that, there's a few things that they need to look at, and one of the priorities is for them to have an open mind in terms of how services can be delivered to customers. What I'm trying to say is it has to be customer-centric. It has to be on a fair, equitable platform for services to be delivered, because currently, if you go to any bank for services, the terms and condition is as per what the bank gives you. So in a future setting, if you can do smart contract means to give facilitation to the parties that is entering into the contract to be flexible and open about it. So I think being open-minded is one of the priorities, and I hope that they give younger people chance to be at the driving seat rather than retaining the old talent that is now sitting in many of the banks.
All right. I guess we've reached the end of our session. So thank you to both panelists. So I guess all in, the banks that get their data foundation right won't just keep changing, but they would drive it. So thank you everyone for joining in today's session.